Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. Now find yourself a seat at their table.
Hey kids, I'm Mike,
I'm PJ.
and today we'll be discussing New York Comic Con 2024. PJ was there. He's going to tell us his adventures there. And we're also going to talk about the upcoming Marvel and DC films. So I think they're considered Phase 5 and 6, and the new James Gunn universe. So we're going to talk about the ones that are coming. There's some breaking news as well, folks, about one of them being canceled. So we have a lot to get to. So PJ, tell us about your adventures. I think just so people know, maybe some new listeners, PJ owns his own comic book store. So I think he had some exclusive access to some early access to things, but PJ also had quite the journey to get to Comic Con. So PJ is going to give us this little bit of a narrative and his journey to, and he barely made it out alive.
I barely made it out alive is right. So for everyone, just so you know what the dates are, Comic Con was Wednesday through Sunday, which was October. Pulling up a calendar so I give you the right date. It was October 16th through the 20th, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was 5 days of Comic-Con for me this year. So I got coverage for the store. We were all ready to go. It's Tuesday night. We were packing our bags, and all of a sudden, I get an alert on my phone that someone has opened the door to Cool Kids Comics and Toys. And I said, well, if I'm here and the store is closed, there should be no one entering my store. And this is late. This is probably 11 o'clock at night.
PJ's like, the bat signal.
yeah, for real, the bat signal. So I freak out, right? Because now my anxiety is at 110.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's 11 o'clock at night. I just finished packing. I think I'm going to go to sleep and get ready for Comic-Con. And I'm getting alerts on my phone that someone is entering my store. So I freak out. I immediately rush over to the store to find the door locked, and no one is inside the store. But of course, I have to go and try and see why is this thing getting triggered, right? So I open the door, I unlock it, I walk in, all the alarms trigger, all of them. Every alarm that could alarm is alarming.
Right.
Okay? I mean, and by the way, it's loud as hell, this alarm. This is the first time I actually heard the alarm go off.
Right.
And I'm like freaking out because now I'm like, oh shit, the police are going to come. This thing.
Right. PJ's like, don't shoot.
Yeah.
I own the place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking because the alarm triggers the police. So I'm like I'm like pushing the buttons. I got to uncode this thing. I got to turn
cancel.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm canceling and the phone starts ringing. I'm like, oh God, why is the phone ringing? Because you get a phone call that is everything okay?
Yeah.
So I shut all that down and now I'm like trying to reset the system. Mind you, again, 11 o'clock at night. After 11 o'clock at night, this is happening right before the day before I'm supposed to leave. So I finally get everything turned off, and I can't get the alarm back on now. Now the whole thing is
I hate technology.
I hate it.
Is it through an app? Is it through an app?
There's an app and there's a panel in the store. Neither one are
okay.
So now I have to call at night the security company ADT. They have a 24/7 line. I call through. I'm waiting forever for someone to answer. I finally get through to customer service. I tell them what happened. They make us go through. I can't tell you how many steps to try and reset them.
Is that the thing from Jurassic Park where you're like,
it really is.
Like, push the close.
We had to take out the battery, do a bypass, do this, do that. This lady had us doing. When I tell you 30 to 45 minutes worth of stuff, I might be underestimating how long she had us trying all this stuff. Nothing is working. The alarm keeps going off. We can't bypass everything. Every time the alarm goes off, I'm getting a phone call that my alarm was triggered. Every time it goes off, the lady on the other end of the phone has to send through an alert to make sure the police don't come. Right. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. So finally, she says, well, we have to send the technician out tonight. I'm like, tonight? It's now, at this point, 1 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm like, tonight? She's like, oh, yeah, it's got to happen tonight. She's like, we're going to have our dispatcher call you, but it's usually within 30 minutes that they'll get there. I say, fine. I'm waiting. The dispatcher calls, and he says, we're going to send someone out. We'll be there within the next hour or two. I'm like, the next hour or two? And they go, but before I can send someone, I need you to accept the charges. I'm like, well, what are the charges?
Like, are you paying for a service? Like, what am I?
Right?
Is that a part of the service contract?
I would think, but it was after hours because it's 1 o'clock in the morning,
Oh
and they
man.
said it's
Well,
four
isn't that
hundred.
wouldn't that make? But what isn't that like the time like where like something would go wrong
Right?
typically?
Yes, you would
Like
think.
what? Yeah.
You would
So
think. They tell me to send the tech out to look at this. It's going to be $450 for the first, I think it was 30 minutes, and
my
then
God,
$110 for every 15 minutes after that. I'm like,
what are they rewiring the Pentagon? Like this is
I'm like,
just a what could it be? Just a software
so
thing,
now
I'm
I'm like,
assuming.
right? I'm like, this can't be. So I'm like, well, then don't send them. I don't accept those charges.
Uh,
I'm like, absolutely not. Send someone tomorrow. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm like, but in the meantime, what do I do with this alarm system that keeps going off? Right? Because this is a problem. They're like, we're going to tell you how to like bypass whatever. Okay. I do all the stuff they tell me to do. I lock up. I go home. I go to sleep. By the time I get home, it's like 4 or 5, and I don't fall asleep before 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
right.
I get like 4 hours of sleep. Now I got to wake up because I have to go to the city for Comic Con because Wednesday is a special
Right.
retailer day. Okay. So I wake up. I fill my dad in what would happen. I tell my sister because they're going to be taking
Mhm.
care of the store while I'm gone. I tell them everything. They say, okay, they'll wait for the guy, whatever, whatever. I go, now I'm heading to Wantagh train station to head to New York City. We're on the train. For everyone who's ever been on the Long Island Railroad, it sucks, right?
Mm.
We know it sucks. It's never on time. There's always a problem.
And it's always
We're
expensive. It keeps
always
getting more
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah. We're
Did you go
heading.
off peak, PJ? Did you go off
I was
peak?
off peak. It was off peak. It was. I'll tell you how off peak it was. We're going. Now we're heading west, and we're going, and we're stopping. Of course, it's a local,
All right.
so we're stopping at Wantagh. We're stopping at Belmore. We're stopping in Freeport. We're stopping in RVC. We're stopping everywhere.
Yeah.
If there's a stop, we stopped. All of a sudden, the train stops. Just stops. Not at a stop. Just stopped. And the conductor guy gets on his little announcer and he goes, "So just a little problem with the tracks up ahead. So we have to go back east."
Oh.
We're all like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah,
Ah.
we got to go all the way back east and then we'll go back west." So now I have an itinerary of things to do at Comic Con.
All right.
So I'm like, "Fuck, this is just the worst start to this entire like weekend experience." So they double back. We have to go all the way back, and they had to go like 3 or 4 switches back so they could change the track that we were on. So we'd probably add another half hour, 40 minutes to our train ride because of all of this. Just I'm like, I want to go home and I want
All
to not go
right.
to Comic Con. I just want to.
Yeah. Yeah. If it burnt it. Yeah.
I'm
You're
already
getting turned
burnt out.
off.
It's day
Yeah.
one. I'm already burnt out. So we finally get to the city. I go to the hotel. I go to check in. Of course, the room's not ready. Of course.
Yeah.
Fine. They say, but if you want to check in early, if you give us $60, the room is ready.
What?
So wait a minute. I said, so you're telling me I can't check in early because the room's not ready, but if I want to pay you $60, you'll
Right. The
give me a
room.
room because it's ready.
Wow. That's
I'm like,
balls.
if there was no room ready,
Right.
then I hold my luggage
Right.
behind the desk. I'll check in later. But there is a room ready. You just won't give it to me unless I pay you more money. But I don't have it in me to fight. So
Right.
I
You give up.
just
You give.
I've given up. I'm like, this weekend is already over for me. Here's your $60. Please let me put my stuff in my room. So I dropped the stuff off in the room. The hotel, for anyone wondering, is Yotel, New York City, is what it's called. I think it's like on 10th Avenue, 44th, around there. It's about a
Jeez.
5 to 10 minute walk from the Javits Center, so it's very conveniently located. I dropped my stuff off in the room, and now I zip over to the Javits Center. Okay, now everything's gonna go smoothly, right? Because now I'm at the Javits.
Right.
No,
What?
no, it doesn't go smoothly. We had to go to Will Call to pick up our retailer badge tickets, our pro
Oh.
badges, because they didn't send them to us because it was approved too late. No big deal. I go to the line. I say I have pro badges that I got through Lunar Distribution. I just need to pick up the 2 pro badges. Here is my paper ticket to show you that I
Yeah.
purchased them. 2 different names are on there. One's my name, one's Jen's name, so that they can tell who's whose. Lunar screwed up,
Oh no.
and they put both badges under one name.
Oh my
But the
God.
problem with that is when you go to tap in your badge, once somebody has a badge in their name that's tapped in, the other
The-
badge now doesn't work.
Right.
and there is no way to fix this. And these are my badges for both Wednesday and Thursday.
Ugh.
So I'm like, but what do we do? Because if I tap in
Right.
and
Yeah.
then the next one can't tap in, what are we going to do? They're like, well, you'll have your ID ready and you'll show them your ID. And I'm like, that's great. What does that really do for anybody? It's only registered to one name. They say, don't worry about it. It won't be a problem. It was a problem, but it's fine. We made it work. Okay. Now we're inside. Finally inside.
All right. So now you're in Comic-Con now.
I'm
All
at
right.
Comic
And
Con.
you're behind the scenes. You're still setting crap up, right? From I know you sent me
Yes.
some pics.
Yes. I sent you some pictures. Maybe we'll throw them on the Instagram.
Hmm.
We can't get on the actual floor. We snuck in a little bit just to kind of see what it looked like. I've been to Comic Con almost every year since they've started. I've never seen it the day before. You would not think they'd be able to get this place up and running within the amount of
Right.
time that they had.
Mm.
It was a hot mess of. I'm like, wow, this is really. There's nothing here.
Right.
But we did get to see some behind the scenes stuff, and then we head to the what they're calling Retailer Day. And now, I've never been to Retailer Day at New York Comic Con. Nobody has ever been to Retailer Day at Comic Con. This is the first year.
Oh,
This
they're
is the
popping their
first-
cherry. Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time they've ever done it. I don't know what I was expecting. Um, I don't know what you might be expecting out of a Retailer Day.
The only thing I would expect, I don't. Well, number one, I think it's wishful thinking that they're going to give you some kind of discount price. Probably not. Just early access to it. I'm assuming.
So
To
all it is a series of tables, and when I say a series of tables, I mean maybe 5 to 6 tables
right. Right.
of independent publishers that you've never heard of, giving out a preview issue of one of their books that no one's ever
Oh,
going to
okay.
buy.
Right. Right. Right.
I'm like, well, this is like, we went to every table and spoke to every person in like 15, 20 minutes.
Ugh.
And we're like, well, now what? Well, there's going to be some programming specific to retailers. And it's people telling you how to run your business, essentially. Oh, the holidays are coming up. These are some ideas to get your
Yeah. Yeah.
get money
Yeah.
for the holidays. I'm like, I don't need you how to tell me how to run my store during the holidays. I don't need this. So at this point, it's only maybe 12 o'clock, 12, 1 o'clock
Right.
at the Javits, because we started early because we had to get there on time to register and everything. So we got there as early as we could.
And
So
this is early access day, correct? You're
this is
talking
the
about?
early access day, but this is all you
Right.
have access
Oh,
to.
you have access to.
Is
Right.
this. So I'm like, well, this is like a waste of time. Is a waste of time. Like there's nothing else to do. The one thing I wanted to do was hear Todd McFarlane speak, but that wasn't happening until like 4 o'clock. So we got like
Right.
4 or 5 hours before Todd's
Yeah.
showing
It's a
up,
kill. Yeah.
and there's nothing else to do there. So I actually ran into someone I know, someone that has a radio show and has done some stuff at our store with us or whatever. We ran into him there because he was there. We spoke to him for a bit. We grabbed lunch at one of the places that were open inside the Javits
Right.
to eat. Kind of walked around as much as we could to try and look at some of the behind the scenes stuff. Tried to sneak onto the floor a bit, see how they set everything up.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'm like, I don't know if I should just leave. I'm
I was
like,
gonna say, is it like almost like you go to like a concert, like all exits are final for the day, or can you go in and out?
you could come back in if you want, but it's like if you leave at 2 o'clock and you go somewhere, you're not gonna come back at 4. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah. 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 No. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like I'll miss this whole thing if I leave now. So we kind of sat around for a bit and we were like, all right, there's a couple of speakers coming. One speaker was from I forget the name of the company. It was a manga company.
Right.
No one gave a shit what she had to say.
Right.
And then someone came actually from Kickstarter. This is when it starts to get good.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kickstarter guy was explaining how people launch comic book Kickstarters to publish their own book, and he was telling us a
Yeah.
bunch of different things, and it was actually very interesting. I took some notes because one day I might actually go down this route and try and
Mm-hmm.
self-publish something. Who knows?
Yeah.
So that was very good information. That guy came up there, and then the next person that came up was Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
For
For
those,
this is the
for
guy
those
who
who don't
made.
know, Todd McFarlane is I would give him legend or icon status in the world
Oh
of
yeah.
comic books.
Oh yeah.
He's the creator of Venom.
Yep.
He's the creator of Image Comics, the creator of Spawn.
I was gonna say Spawn's probably his
Spawn,
most well-known original
yeah,
creation. I mean,
Spawn and
besides
Venom.
Venom, yeah,
Yeah,
those two.
he has the toy line. Everyone knows McFarlane Toys and all
Yep.
that. He's got all
Mhm.
that stuff. So really, like I said, just a legend.
He always kind of reminded me of like this is gonna be this is a weird comparison. He's almost like the Tony Hawk of that era. Like
Yeah,
had
I get what you're
skateboarded
saying.
and
Yeah.
he kind of like was like this new wave of like
Yep.
dudes, especially in the '90s. Late '80s, '90s, and so on. So
So he gave a little speech about retailers and the comic book industry, and how you can different things you could do to try and make your store more successful. Very good information, a lot of funny stories. He told us how he broke into the industry. I won't be able to tell that story and give it the
mhm.
justice it deserves,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
he was saying years ago, back when you could still bring your portfolio to a Comic Con to have Marvel or DC look at it.
Wow.
That's how you used to break into the industry. This was obviously this is the 80s. And he went there to, I think it was Jim Shooter, who was the editor at Marvel at the time. He was going to give him his portfolio. He got to the show late. He wasn't going to be able to get through the line to give it to him. He didn't want to miss his opportunity. He tells the story about how he sees Jim Shooter go to the men's room. So he goes to the men's room. He sees this guy's about to take a piss. He goes to take a fake piss. He doesn't have to, but he has to
Right,
get next
just
to this guy.
right, yeah,
He stands next to him, takes a fake piss, does a fake shake, washes his hands at the end,
yeah.
and says, "Hey, I know this is probably not the best time to ask, but can you look at my portfolio, the whole
Yeah,
thing?"
yeah.
The guy does. He looks at his portfolio in the men's room,
Wow.
and thus begins the legendary career of Todd McFarlane. So it was a great story. He gave great advice into things to do with the store, and then what he does, which was very, very cool. They made an exclusive cover. Only 300 were made of this cover for a Spawn issue. I forget the number, 357, I want to say, but whatever. And he signs it. He all autographed. Only 300 of this cover exist with his signature on it, and he gives it to all of us for free.
Whoa.
It was very cool, and he says, he goes, "You're all retailers. You could keep this book and you can hang it on your wall somewhere if that's what you want to do." He goes, "But I'm not going to feel bad if you sell it to pay your bills and
Yeah,
invest it in your comic book store." He goes, "You do what you got to do to make a living and pay your bills." He said,
yeah.
"This is my gift to you to do that," which is very cool. And with that, we end our retailer day,
Hmm.
and we said, "All right, let's let's go back to the hotel." Right? There's really not much else to do tonight. They were going to do a dinner at the Javits Center, but that was still like 3 or 4 hours away. We had already had a long day. I really didn't.
Yeah, you just want to hang out. Yeah, just do.
Yeah, so we were like, we'll just grab something to eat at the hotel and call it an early night. Right?
Right. So now it's Thursday. This is the
Well, we haven't
opening
made it
day.
to Thursday yet. We have more problems on Wednesday.
All right.
We go back to the hotel. Um, we go to the room. I don't know if you've ever been to a yotel, but um, here's how I will describe the hotel to you. The room. You ever go to IKEA?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you ever see they have set up like the studio apartments, like you can walk through
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a 4x4 room with like a bed and a
Right.
toilet.
Right, right.
This is what the room is like. It's very small. There's supposed to be like a divider or a separator between the bathroom and where you sleep. That's not there. So you're essentially just shitting in your bedroom.
Wow. So if you're taking a crap, you can actually watch TV in the living room.
Yeah, I mean you're basically just shitting in the living room. Um,
Wow.
Now there's
Okay.
like a door, like a supposed to be like a glass door, right? That you close. The door doesn't work properly, so it doesn't close all the way. So you're now shitting with the door open on top of everything else.
Right.
Um, we're like, well, this is annoying, but whatever. It's a couple of days. We'll deal with it. We go to sleep. Because the room is so small, there's no chairs. It's just a bed.
Wow.
But the bed, it's one of those like ones that go up and down, so you can like lean it all the way up like a couch. You know what I
Like
mean?
a detective.
Yeah, so it's the thing is like it's like on like a track, so it slides up and down,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can
yeah.
prop it up into a couch or you can lay it down into a bed. Our bed doesn't work, so you prop it up and it just slides very slowly back down.
Ugh.
So you the whole weekend we really can't sit. You can only lay down.
Oh my God.
So we're like just so uncomfortable the entire time. We finally go to sleep. We wake up. It's Thursday.
Now this is finally opening day. This is
Yes.
this is where the celebrities are. The
Yes.
people. This is what everyone came for. It's opening day. It's the bank. Right, our
This
listeners are coming in now.
Yes.
Right. This is what happened. What's
Right.
what's good. Hmm.
So We get there bright and early. We got our pro badge, so we can go in early. We walk in and we start trying to do some stuff. Right. I find the Marvel booth right away. Marvel was doing this thing for like $40. You get an exclusive cover, an exclusive action figure, access to their like their app where you can read all the comics on the app
Right.
for a year. I'm like, well, I don't really need the access to the app for a year, but I like the exclusive action figure and the exclusive cover, and there was a couple of other things you got. I'm like, for $40, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's really
Considering
not.
what you got, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's actually a pretty good deal. I'll do that. I go to give the lady $40. She goes, we don't take cash here. I said, of course not. No
Wow.
cash. Great. I'll charge it. And she says, okay. We go through the whole thing. The Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Oh,
So she
see.
can't process the payment.
Oh,
I'm like, well, you sure you don't want my 40
my
bucks?
40 bucks. Yeah.
We'll just move on with this. And she says, can't take cash. No way to put it. It's not just me having this problem. There's like several people trying to help others out.
Right.
No one can get their payments to go through. So now I'm like, well, whatever. I will just ignore this. I'm not gonna. I don't
Right.
need it. I don't. It
Right.
was just whatever.
Yeah.
At that booth, they also had some costumes from the upcoming Daredevil TV show, so I was able to see what the Daredevil suit looks like in person. I saw some stuff from Agatha, the Agatha costumes. That was pretty cool to
Mhm.
see them up close. And I go on my way to the next booth. I'm walking around trying to find some stuff. There's a booth there, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna buy something from this booth." They had an exclusive like Ninja Turtle statue that I wanted.
Mhm.
I go to buy the Ninja Turtle statue, and here's what they say: "You couldn't make this up if you tried." They
Oh
said, "Oh,
boy.
you can't buy that." And
I.
I'm like, "But why not? We forgot to bring it." I'm
Wow.
like, "Pardon? Beg pardon?" Yeah, we forgot to pack it on the truck. We had it overnighted to us, and it's somewhere in the Javits Center. We think it got delivered, but nobody knows
Knows where
where.
it is.
So
Oh
it's in
my
a
God.
random box somewhere in here. We're hoping to find it by
Mhm.
the end of the weekend. I said, okay, won't buy that. I move over to another booth. Um, the NECA booth, they had a couple of cool toys and stuff like that out. I took some pictures. Like I said, we'll throw the pictures on the Instagram. I bought an exclusive action figure of Kevin Eastman, the creator of the Ninja Turtles.
Mhm.
If you remember, he was in the first Turtle movie as a garbage man.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
They made an exclusive figure of the garbage man of Kevin Eastman, and
Oh,
I thought that was
okay.
pretty cool. So I bought that. Whatever. Um, so now I'm just
So
kind of.
right, so so the first day, there's not really like, do they have like guest speakers or like
You
celebrities?
could go to
Is that like?
panels if you want. There are
Mhm.
panels you can sit through if you want to try and
Mhm.
sit through them. There wasn't much on day one in terms of speakers that I wanted to listen to, so
Right.
I figured I would make day one my shopping day.
Shopping day, right. So I guess in terms of the of this day one kind of stuff, and guess just in general, you're just when you pay whatever $100 to get into
Right.
Comic Con, that's just your admission. You
That's
don't
just your admission.
that
Right.
doesn't mean you're getting
You're not
doesn't
getting
mean
shit other than walking through the door. Yep.
right. You're not getting into the panels
Exactly.
unless that's another
Exactly.
everything's another fee.
Right.
All right. Because I didn't really know that with certain things. I just because you see all these things online, they're packed houses. I mean,
There
it's
are
like
freebies. Some booths will give you some free stuff. If you go
yeah,
to a panel, they'll give you sometimes a free thing and stuff like
right.
that. But
But
for the most
but
part,
essentially all the panels are you have to pay for that, right?
the panels are part of the admission for most of them. There are some you
Most
have
of
to pay for
right. Okay.
or make a reservation for, but most of the ones that I would care about, I'm
Right.
just walking in because it's the comic book ones. It's not like I don't really go for the celebrity stuff and things like that. If you want to
Mhm.
meet a celebrity, take a picture, get an autograph, you got to pay
Yeah.
for all that separately. If
Right.
you just
That I
want to,
figured.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
When they did the Michael J. Fox one a couple of years ago, was it 2 years
Yeah.
ago now? Whatever it was, you had to pay for that one
I'm
if you want
sure.
to guarantee seated. But if you just want to hear the comic book creators talk about what's coming out, those you don't have to pay for.
I see. Okay.
So I thought I would make Thursday my shopping day. So I find this booth. It was called Collector's Corner or something like that, and it was
Hmm.
attached to the Nickelodeon booth with more Ninja Turtle stuff. They had some cool stuff in there. I go to buy something. I said I'd like to purchase some of this stuff. They said, "Well, we don't sell anything here." I said, "But it says exclusive." They said, "Well, yeah, but you could buy it on Walmart.com. That's how we do it. You buy it on Walmart and we ship it to you." I'm like,
I
I don't want to
that's
buy it from Walmart.com.
right, but when I hear things like that, I'm always baffled. It's like How do you go to a place where people are looking to buy, and then you go, oh, you can't buy it here. You have to
Right.
go
It's crazy.
online, and then why even bother? You're taking up someone else's spot, and it's almost just like, for me, I just feel it's not a good business model because it's like you want people to kind of impulsively
Right.
buy. You know what I mean? You
Exactly.
make more, and 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna go back and
Well,
online and
that
get
you're
unless it's
100% right because I didn't buy
something
any of that
that's
stuff.
right.
I wasn't going to go
Just
back
stupid,
online and
bland.
buy it and have it shipped to me. If I could have bought it right there
Yeah,
because it looked cool, I would have. But I had
yeah,
time to think about it, so now I don't want it anymore. You're 1,000,000% correct when you say that. I don't know how anyone would make money that way because I'm going to just spend my money at a booth that will let me.
yeah. Hmm.
So I didn't buy any of that stuff. Um, then I went to another booth that was there, and some of these booths aren't big name booths. Some of them are, like
Hmm.
the Kevin Eastman toy was from the NECA booth. That's a big brand. So some have bigger name brands, some don't. I went to a booth. I think it was the Culture Fly booth, but it may have been a different one. And I said to them, "You guys have any exclusives just for the show?" And they said, "Well, no, we don't have anything exclusive to the show today." I said, "Oh, so everything here I could just buy on your website whenever I want?"
Right.
They said, "Yeah, for the most part." They said, "There's a couple of things we marked as sold out on the website, but we had a small supply of them left, and we're going to sell
Mhm.
those here." I said, "But otherwise," they said, "we don't have any exclusives." I'm like, "All right." I mean, there wasn't anything there I really wanted. I was just wondering
Yeah,
if it's an exclusive, maybe it's worth bringing back to the store and trying to upsell it there
yeah.
or whatever. But
Hmm.
there was nothing, so I moved on with my day. Didn't buy anything from them. I went to another booth and they had some cool T-shirts and stuff. I'm like, look, I get it that I'm a bigger dude, so I need a bigger size, and not everyone's going to accommodate that. They were like, we only have three sizes: small, medium, large. I'm like,
Right,
small, medium, large. Like, no one's buying this shirt.
right, right.
You're at Comic Con. We're not. You got a lot of big people at Comic Con. I'm just gonna call it like I see
Know
it.
your audience.
You know your audience, right? And then I'm like, well, then I'm not gonna buy a T-shirt because one, I can never wear it, and two, like they're like $60 a shirt.
Yeah, forget
I'm
about it.
like, forget it. I don't even care. I'll move on with my day. So I'm already now. It's Thursday. We're going through the day, and I'm so defeated. I'm like, this is the worst Comic Con experience I've ever had. So I'm like, kind of bummed out or whatever,
PJ wants to spend money and he can't,
and I
folks.
can't. I spent like
PJ
zero
has a
dollars
million
on this.
dollars to spend and no one wants his goddamn money.
Yeah, it's
He's like,
crazy. It's
he's
absolutely
like, no one
crazy.
will take my money. I
I'm
can't
telling
buy
you,
anything
I did
here.
not buy anything on day one except for
Oh
that like
my
Kevin
god.
Eastman action figure. I bought nothing.
He's going through his
So I'm
like,
like,
he didn't buy anything.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm so bummed out. We
And then
were
you have to
like,
go home. You can't even sit down. You can't even
yeah,
sit down defeated. You have to lay down and feel defeated.
exactly. So I'm like, all right, I'm just done for day one. I've gone to all these booths. I bought almost nothing. I'm kind of like bummed out. I'm like, this sucks. Whatever. Um, we go home for the day and we grab a bite to eat at a nice restaurant near the hotel. Very nice restaurant, good food. It was great. We go back to the hotel, and now I'm going to watch TV. And it said like there was Wi-Fi on the TV, so I figure I could take my phone or my
Yeah,
iPad and
yeah, yeah.
and
Connect it.
cast it to the TV.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that here.
That's another $60.
They don't even give you the option. So now all you can watch is whatever stations the hotel has.
Oh
All
god.
we watched for this entire weekend
The hotel infomercials.
was hotel infomercials and the Family Feud.
Wow.
We watched so much fucking Family Feud. I can't even tell you. I mean, that was the only thing on was the Game Show Network. We were like, man, so much Steve Harvey. You can only take so much.
Right, yeah.
So
Hmm.
we're like, Jesus, all right. Now it's Friday. We, so we wake up on Friday. We say, all right, we'll grab some for breakfast. We'll go back to the show. Today's gonna be a better day. I I go to get breakfast, and they said to me, is breakfast included with your room?" I said, "I don't know. I
Right.
I don't know.
Is
It
that another
wasn't.
$60?
It was only another $60." They said, "We'll check for you." They're like, "It's not. Would you like to eat anyway?" Well, yeah, I still need breakfast. I don't.
Right.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So they have a breakfast buffet. $22 a person for the breakfast buffet. You can have pancakes, eggs, bacon, uh, and oatmeal. Oatmeal
All right.
was
Some
on the
standard
menu.
stuff. Hmm.
Standard stuff. I like oatmeal sometimes. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna have a bowl of this banana oatmeal." Now, you ever had oatmeal before?
I can't remember the last time I had any, man.
But you understand the
Right,
concept
right.
of
Yeah, it's
oatmeal?
like farina. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's hot. Yes, warm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I plop my oatmeal in my bowl. I go to eat it, ice cold.
Ugh.
I'm like, I can't eat ice cold oatmeal. And then Jen tells me, she says, well, it's overnight oats. I'm like, I don't know what overnight oats
I
means.
never.
It's oatmeal. It's oatmeal.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
just had that. I
you're
just had.
familiar
Oh,
with overnight
I
oats?
just had this recently. It was like banana.
Yeah,
Uh, oatmeal. Yeah. Okay. I know. So yeah, yeah. It's
but
like
it's ice cold.
yeah. They refrigerate it. Yeah. It's almost like a yogurt. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
it's terrible.
The one I had was actually one bad. My wife
I
just got
do
it for
not
me
want my
too.
oatmeal being cold. So now I am off to a bad start yet again. We
PJ's
go to
walking into Comic Con starving.
back at it for day two. We walk in. I found more stuff to buy, a couple of different action figures, a couple of
Hmm.
different things that I thought were pretty
Right.
cool. A couple of panels I went to that day, which was pretty good. There was it's IDW, who is a comic book company. They're the ones
Hmm.
that make the Ninja Turtle comics and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's their 25th anniversary, so I went to the panel for that. They gave us a free hat, a free notebook, free stuff. They showed us some previews of the upcoming Godzilla books that are coming out. It was very cool. We were able to buy a few things that we found there that we thought were cool. A much better day, a much better day all the way around. We went to the DC Comics panel. They were talking about the new books that were coming out. They showed us exclusive art and pictures that no one's seen yet. It's probably
Hmm.
online now, but at the time, no one had seen it.
Right. Is there
Um,
any new characters coming out? New, you know?
they're doing a bunch of new books, not new characters, but a new Aquaman book is coming out that looks
Okay.
pretty good, and new Green Lantern stuff. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. They
Okay.
have what they're calling the Absolute line, so Absolute Batman,
Oh,
Superman.
okay, okay.
It's like a revisioning, so it's brand new from like day one. If you were to create these characters today, how would you do it?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
announced they're going to do Martian Manhunter, The Flash, Green
Okay.
Lantern. It was a very good panel. It was cool to see all that stuff. Friday was a much better day. We were able to buy stuff, saw a lot
Right.
of cool stuff. The
Hmm.
people in costumes started showing up. A lot of Lydia Dietz cosplays.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of
You always
Lydia.
there's always one movie. Like I'm sure one year was a bunch of Harley
Yeah,
Quinns, and then the
yeah,
Jokers, and then you know, I saw some good ones online. Someone did Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura 2.
yeah,
The Rhino scene. I mean, that was hilarious. I saw that clip, and I saw some pretty cool ones too. Someone was like the Chewbacca from the Mandalorian, whatever. It's like he's like a
yeah.
gray haired
Yep,
Wookiee,
yep,
some kind of I
yeah.
saw that was impressive. Hmm.
So yeah, they had some cool stuff on Friday. I enjoyed myself on Friday. Um, so that was cool. We went to an Italian restaurant, which was after the show was over for dinner. That was
Hmm.
very good. So Friday was a good day. So
Hmm.
now I'm back in. I'm back in. Right now I'm happy with how things are going down. Oh, I stopped and I saw a couple of friends of ours, Joey and Sean from the
Oh,
Pedestrian. They
okay.
had a booth there. I stopped by. I spoke to them for a bit, so that was cool to catch up with them. Seems like their book is doing really well. They had a lot of people really interested in them, so that was good to see.
Yeah, for folks, what PJ's mentioning is the two creators. You can check out our episode. We actually interview them. Episode 66, Joey Esposito and Sean
Von
Von
Gorman,
Gorman, and they came out with a comic book, uh,
the Pedestrian.
The Pedestrian. So
Yes, and
it's
I got to
very
catch
cool
up with
book.
them.
Hmm.
Yeah, very good book. They're up to issue 3, comes out this week. Tomorrow, actually. Well,
Mm.
tomorrow we're recording on Tuesday, so tomorrow, but really this week, Wednesday, the 23rd is when that issue drops. It's cool to catch up with them. So, like I said, things are starting to look up. We get to Saturday, and I found a lot of cool stuff. I got my anniversary gift. It was an original art from an issue of Superboy number 100.
Oh.
An original page of that book was pretty
Hmm.
cool. I got I forget the number it was, but Impulse is a comic book character that I like.
Right.
I got an original page from that book. I got an original sketch of the question. So
Hmm.
so that stuff is, as you can imagine, not cheap to buy original
Oh
art.
yeah, yeah.
But that's what I like to spend. I always save up and buy original art each year, so that was cool. I got an exclusive. I don't know if you've ever heard of the company Loungefly.
I think so. It sounds familiar.
They're the backpacks. You've probably seen Jen wear them. They're like the small backpacks.
Oh,
with the
yep,
cane.
yep.
They had one that was a full size, not a mini backpack of Godzilla.
Hmm.
Super cool. I have to send you a picture of it. We'll, like I said, we'll probably put it on Instagram. That was awesome. I got myself that. Um, and then I went to a panel called Jim Lee and Friends is the name of the panel. For those who aren't aware of Jim Lee, another legendary creator in the comics book world, one of the original people at Image,
Oh,
had
wow.
a legendary run on X-Men, a legendary run on Batman. Just one of the best artists to ever do
Mhm.
it in the history of comics. I mean, he's probably the best ever, right? Like he's
Yeah,
up there. Todd McFarlane's up there as like being the best artist of all
yeah.
time. These are the names you think of. And he's now like the editor in chief or the publisher, whatever they call it, of DC Comics. So he was introducing some new books that are coming out. And he introduces a couple of people to the stage. Um, Jeff Loeb, who was a writer, Scott, I think his name is Scott Williams, I think his name is, who was an inker, and a couple of other people. Um, they're the creative team for a historic run on Batman called Hush, Batman
Oh,
Hush. I think
yeah.
they might have made a movie out of it too, an animated movie. They're going to do a sequel. Very cool announcement. The whole place cheers.
Right,
Here's
right,
where it
right.
gets really good. This is the best part of my Comic Con experience.
Okay. Are you gonna say you're gonna charge you $60 to find out?
Yeah. He we're in this big room. You could probably fit several hundred, maybe 1,000 people in this room. It's a big
Right.
room. And he says, underneath 100 random chairs, we
Oh.
have placed a green bracelet, which will give you access to a free signing for the entire creative team of Hush 2, including Jim Lee.
Wow.
You go to try and buy a Jim Lee autograph online, you're paying hundreds of dollars
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just his autograph. And this has four
The
or
whole
five.
shebang. Yeah, the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, what are the odds? Jen looks under her chair, no bracelet. We look under my chair, green bracelet.
Wow. PJ, the gods.
They
He
saw
has
the week I
suffered
was
enough.
having, and so now I'm like, oh shit. They're like, when's the signing? At 3 o'clock. You look at your clock. What time is it? 2:45. What? It's on the other side of the Javits.
Oh.
I'm I mean, you had time. It was plenty of time
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I run across. I get online. They give you a nice, like a full size print on, and not like a poster, like a print on nice cardstock, heavy duty
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
paper of Batman. They all sign it. It was the coolest thing. People pay through the ass to
I'm
meet
gonna
Jim
say
Lee and
top
get it.
dollar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I got to meet all these guys for nothing. They signed it for me. Really, just a great experience. Um, couldn't have been more happy with how that ended. And that's pretty much it. We actually decided not to go back on Sunday, end on a
Well,
high note,
yeah.
and then we just kind of came home on Sunday afternoon, early Sunday afternoon.
Right. Okay.
Overall, it started off terrible,
Right.
but by the time we got to mid Friday and Saturday, excellent
Hmm.
time. Was able to buy a lot of cool stuff, a lot of great
Right.
experiences with the autographs and everything.
Hmm.
I can't complain too much about that. I got a Todd McFarlane autograph. I got a Jim Lee
Jimmy
autograph
Lee. Yeah.
for nothing. Both of those for absolutely nothing. I got two comic book pages, original art comic book pages, a couple of exclusive action figures. By the end of the week, it did turn out to be a
Yeah.
pretty good time.
Things end up balancing out.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so it sounds like a successful Comic Con. It seems from the past, it seems like it's just as big as ever. Maybe less bombastic, maybe with
Mm,
because we're going to talk about the films coming out
yep.
shortly. So, very interesting. So that's Comic Con 2024. Thank you, PJ, with the report.
Yes, it was interesting.
So,
Oh, I also should mention that I think it was Thursday night or Friday night at 2 o'clock in the morning while we're at the hotel, the store alarm went off again, and I started getting alerts
ugh,
middle of the night while I was in the city,
oh my god,
which is just what are you gonna do? I'm nowhere
yeah,
near there. But also, unfortunately, I think my sister got alerts in the middle of the night because I
yeah,
had things getting forwarded to her. But needless to say, we have to get the alarm system replaced. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was also part of our Comic Con experience. And 2 o'clock in the morning, while I'm nowhere near the store, getting alarms triggered. So there were a lot of ups and downs to this weekend, but will I go back to Comic Con? Of course I will.
Yeah. Um, but the question is, PJ, are we going to return to the theaters for these upcoming films? So
Well,
these are the release dates. I'm doing Marvel films first, and I'm doing the
okay.
DC films. Okay. So folks, I got these release dates from Marvel. I think it's MarvelStudios.com. Okay, they didn't really give a synopsis of the film, but I think we just tell by the title of it. So the next one, the next big, I guess, is Marvel phase 5 or 6. I don't know, but it's the
Mm.
next phase. Okay, so on Valentine's Day of 2025, you have Captain America: Brave New World. I believe that's with Falcon. He's
Yeah.
fighting Harrison Ford. Truthfully, I'm not really excited about it. I think he should have just done his own thing as Falcon. And I think it's a hard thing to him. I don't care what they do in the comic books. I'm just talking about in this universe,
It
this
doesn't.
medium.
I agree.
Just
I liked how they did it in the comics. The suit is comic accurate. That's all great. I agree with you. I don't think it works in the movies, and I think the reason it doesn't work in the movies is because it should have been Bucky.
yeah, yeah,
They
exactly.
built
It's
it
just
up as Bucky, and then it's just not him.
yeah, and I think he's really a fan favorite Bucky.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier's a popular one. But anyway, folks, that's the one that's kicking off this next phase. Is Captain America: Brave New World. That's on Valentine's Day. The next one, which I think I never even seen the first one. It's I guess it's a sequel to it. Thunderbolts, which is I think is a sequel to Black Widow.
Yeah, I
That's
mean
May
it's sequel
2nd.
in name only. It's not. I think
I
it kind
know.
of spins off. It's not,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's Thunderbolts asterisk. They keep saying that asterisk is
Yeah,
going to be important for some reason.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have that on my thing. Yeah, so that's May 2nd of 2025. Like I said, I think when Captain Marvel, what's it called? When Black Widow came out, that came after Endgame, which was a dumb
Yes.
move, and no one
Yep.
really saw it. I had no interest. I didn't even like Black Widow. I like her. I like Scarlett Johansson,
Yeah.
but I'm not really a big fan of her character. Um, anyway, the next one after that is, which I think is probably the most interesting, the one I'm most curious about, actually, I should say, is July 25th, excuse me, 2025. The Fantastic Four First Steps.
Yep.
Hopefully, third or fourth time is a charm. I do like the one with Chris. What is it? Chris Evans.
Yeah.
From Deadpool. I don't think those movies are as bad. I don't think they're like Batman Forever bad. I think they're just what they are. I think they're just. I think they knew what they always say. Movies at its best. They knew what they were going for something lighthearted, very like cheesy,
The
kind of like
characters
Power Ranger
themselves were
y.
likable in the movie. I didn't have
Yeah,
any issue with it. Yeah, I agree.
I don't. Yeah, I don't really know what the big deal is. But anyway, but the breaking news, folks, that PJ broke to me shortly was the next movie that was supposed to come out was November 7th, 2025. Blade, and PJ has broke the news that they have canceled Blade.
Yeah, that has been removed from the lineup, and it's actually being replaced, I think, with Predator. I think they're going to put the next Predator movie in that release
Oh
date
boy.
instead. It looks as though that movie's not going to happen.
Was I even like even though like Deadpool is a rated R movie, for me it's only getting a rated R because of the
The
language really.
language.
Yeah, it's not really an R-rated film. Like an R-rated film is um like a Blue Velvet, Eyes Wide Shut, um
Seven.
yeah, Seven exactly,
Yeah.
Gone Girl, Zodiac, No Country for Old Men. Those are R movies. You know what I mean? So anyway, I can't picture them really making a true blue Blade movie with people getting stabbed in the heart. I just can't without it being somewhat comical,
Yeah.
like a Deadpool or Wolverine. Even Logan, even though Logan was rated R, that's not as it's not really a hard R. It's a light
And
R. It's a
yeah.
light R. So I can't
The
picture them really going
and
full
you know what the
Blade.
plot for that movie was supposed to be, right? It wasn't even going to really be about Blade. It was going to be about his daughter. I think his daughter's name is Bloodline.
Oh
And it
God.
was going to be about him passing the torch to the daughter, and then the next movie would be about the daughter instead of him. And it's like you haven't even introduced
It's
Blade to the
Blade.
universe yet. So how are you?
And you're passing the baton.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a good idea to get canceled.
The thing
Um,
is, there's only one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's where it's at.
hmm The next one after that, I think, is probably the most hype now. And this is in 2026 now, folks. May 1st, Avengers Doomsday, which we're anticipating Robert Downey Jr. Coming back into the universe as, like, I don't know, a different kind of Doctor Doom, or Tony Stark in a different universe. He's Doctor Doom. Um, we'll see how that turns out. And
I'm not
then,
looking forward to that at all.
yeah, that's a long time away. And this is even further. May 7, 2027 is Avengers Secret Wars. So,
Eh. It's
very
hard to get
interesting.
excited about something that's so far away.
In all these movies, that's just to kind of somewhat backtrack. I always say they should have really ended it with Endgame. I
I
call it
agree.
do the Warner Brothers, celebrate the film, celebrate the Dark. And you're not into the Dark Knight trilogy, but at least they celebrate it. They
Yep.
celebrate the Harry Potter films. Universal celebrates. I know it's not a comic movie, but, like, Back to the Future. They they boost them up. They know what they are. They give them some kind of legacy, and I think. Anyway, we knew, I know you had to tie some loose ends with the Guardians of the Galaxy and some of the big names, but anyway, they should have just really restarted it. Started with the X-Men and
I agree.
started something else. But
I
none of
think
these
the
movies are really
Fantastic Four should have just been the start of a new
exactly,
Marvel universe.
exactly. That was it. That was
And I
it.
and I like the idea of the Fantastic Four being a period piece. I think it's set in the '60s,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that would have been a great idea. Set it in the '60s, start a brand new universe. Don't connect it to the, if you want to call it
Make
the
it its
Robert Downey
own
Jr.
thing.
verse or
Hmm.
whatever, right? Like
Yep.
the art completely separate from any of that. Start over with them as the first heroes in the new Marvel universe, and build from there. I agree. I think they should have ended it because everything has been pretty much watered down
Yeah.
since Endgame. Because
Hmm.
you can't reach that high. You think of it almost like an addiction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't reach that high that you got again.
Yeah.
So everything just feels flat.
Yeah. 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 I agree. Unless they start anew. Um. So which leads me to the DC films and their new, basically the entire reboot of the universe. And this is mainly the James Gunn universe, and I got these release dates and synopsis from businessinsider.com just to make sure they get the credit. So the next Superman, which is the reboot of Superman, is July 11, 2025.
Yep.
I saw some things online like IMDb. Mr. Terrific is in it. There's
I
Crypto the
have
Dog's
been
in it.
so down
Wow.
on this movie, thinking it was going to be terrible, until I think it was last week when they announced Crypto, and I think this is going to be the
Yeah.
best Superman movie we've ever seen. And I say that not jokingly. If anyone reads Superman comic books and understands the character of Superman, um, he's not a dark character. As much as I love the Man of Steel, he's not a dark character, right? He's a beacon of hope.
Yep.
He's someone you want to look up to, and Christopher Reeve is the
Yeah.
epitome of what Superman
Hmm.
was. When they announced,
He's kind of, and I say this kindly, he's kind of like the Mickey Mouse of, that's what
yeah,
he is. That's okay.
it's okay. Yeah, and
It's
when they
okay. Mickey Mouse
announced
is great.
Crypto for
Hmm.
this movie, it made me realize that James Gunn understands everything about Superman. When he announced that Crypto was going to be in this movie, Superman at his core is relatable, not
Hmm.
because of his powers, but because despite being the most alien, he's also the most human.
Hmm.
And I think showing that connection with him and Crypto just proves to me that this guy understands that people want to see this character and look up to him and feel that he's bright. He's going to treat the dog right. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
Superman just saving lives, being with his dog, smiling, saving kids. And up until this point in the production of this movie, I felt like this movie was going to be a miss. I think Crypto being in it proves to me that this has the potential to
yeah,
be a hit.
yeah. And I think also, just to piggyback off that, is I think with James Gunn, he understands there needs to be a change of tone.
Yep.
This whole thing that DC's darker, blah blah blah. I think that's actually hurt them in the long run. This whole thing, just make good movies. Don't worry about sticking to some kind of tone that has to be the the opposite of Marvel. Just make good films. That's all we want.
I
And
I
I
think yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
having that dog symbolically means that it's going to be a change of
Yes.
tone. And
Yes.
I think James Gunn, even though he's a very good director, I think he's also a very smart businessman. I think he understands, like, look, guys, we gotta We can't keep doing the same. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Time
I
to.
mean, Superman at his core is just a kid that grew up on a farm. And what's more America than a boy and his dog, right? So
Yeah.
like it just shows like he's gonna give you the Superman that we know from the comic books. I don't like what the costume looks like. Maybe it'll look better in post.
Yeah.
I think there might be too many characters in the movie. We'll see how it goes when it comes to the script. But I think for the tone and for Superman himself, I think this movie has a much better chance than I originally thought of being good and being successful.
hmm The next one, folks, is in 2026. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a lie. They weren't really specific when I printed this out, but Supergirl,
Yes.
Woman of Tomorrow.
Hmm.
This is also the um, a James Gunn and another. I guess his partner. I guess you could say is Peter Safran, and
Yes.
this is the next live action Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
And
It's
this particular book
2026.
is based off of a run of the comics from maybe a year or two ago. I'd say it's pretty recent, and it's a celebrated book. This series is one of the best Supergirl series they've had in years. Everyone should check it out. It was written by Tom King, who
hmm
is a prolific writer, a very great writer. So yeah, there it again shows that James Gunn is not shying away from the comic books on this. He's giving you stuff that exists in the comics that were good in the comics that people liked. So I have a lot of hope for the Supergirl movie. Supergirl looks much more like Supergirl in this movie from some of the preview images and things like you've kind of seen.
hmm
You know who they cast. It's not going to be a short, dark-haired Supergirl. It's going to be the blonde Supergirl we know from the
Yeah.
comic, based on a highly successful comic book run. I think this movie's going to be
hmm
good also.
Yeah. I guess I think with James Gunn, like I said, he's the type of guy. It's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
Just keep it to what it is. The next one, I'm not really excited for, but I'm sure PJ is the Batman Part Two. That's with Robert Pattinson. That comes
Can't
out
wait.
October 2nd. However, though, PJ, I guess for me is I only seen the first episode, but I loved it. Is the Penguin series on
Hmm.
HBO? If they, in my opinion, not we could we'll watch the whole series and we'll do a full review of that. I just wish that movie was more like the Penguin series. Just has a lot of energy and charisma and just so much for me that I really enjoy that I wish the film The Batman had. Um, they don't have now everything is to be announced, so they don't really have specific dates. But the next one is called The Authority,
Yes.
and I'll read the caption here. The Authority is a very different type of superhero. It's a superhero team, excuse me,
Hmm.
and they often go to extreme methods to get the job done.
Yep.
So they said this will take inspiration from Amazon Prime's The Boys, which is a very popular TV show. So it's going to have that kind of tone.
So,
Sounds like.
just for a little comic book background for the folks who might care about that sort of thing, the Authority was from the '90s, late '90s. I forget exactly the year, and it was part of the DC Wildstorm imprint. So, what DC used to do is they would have more than one imprint. You'd have your regular DC comics for Superman, Batman, whatever, whatever. Then you would have like Vertigo, which were like darker stories and things like that.
hmm
One of the imprints they had was called Wildstorm. Um, and one of the biggest books to come out of Wildstorm was The Authority. It was written by Warren Ellis. I believe the artist is Brian Hitch, two big names in the comic book industry. It is a much darker, I don't know if darker is the right word. I'll use the word edgier.
Yeah,
An edgier
that's what it
take on,
sounds like. Yeah,
yeah,
like the boys.
yeah. I don't even know if I would say it pushes the envelope quite as much as The Boys does. Um, but yeah, there are some good characters in it. You've probably seen some of them in other comic books and things like that. But Apollo and Midnighter are probably the two biggest to come out of that. They're an openly gay superhero couple. I think that was one of
Okay.
the first times they did that in the comics. So yeah, Grifter. You probably may not know Grifter by name, but if you see him, he's Punisher-esque. He has a bunch of guns. His mask is just like a red, like a called a handkerchief or whatever that he just ties around his
Right.
face to cover his face. So yeah, it's interesting that they're going that route. I don't know how they'll fit it in with
Well,
the
I think
rest of the universe, but
yeah,
it's interesting and I'm here for it.
yeah. Um, the other thing after that is called The Brave and the Bold, and this is
Yes.
the first Batman movie in the James Gunn and Peter Safran's universe.
Yes.
This reboots The Dark Knight after the Ben Affleck take. So this is a separate universe from Robert Pattinson. So this
Correct.
is another Batman kind of thing. And this one introduces Bruce Wayne's son. Uh,
Damien.
correct. And it draws inspiration from Grant Morrison's work based on the comic book character. So, like I said, this is separate from the Batman that
I'm a
series.
little iffy on this one.
I think we all are. I don't like the idea of, I'm not really interested in Damian Wayne. You want Bruce Wayne, I don't know.
I think Damian Wayne is one of the best characters DC's created, but you can't start there.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, you
You
can't
can't
start
start.
there, man. It just you can't
That's
start there.
that's what it is.
Kind
If
of
you
like you
would
said
have
with Blade.
started with
Kind of you said with
a
Blade, you can't.
regular age Batman and he has Robin and that Robin grows up and eventually you
Yeah.
get to an old,
Yeah.
that's fine. But you're skipping out on Dick
hmm
Grayson. You're skipping out on Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and those experiences with those Robins inform how Bruce Wayne acts with Damian Wayne. And the rumor is they're going to do a Titans movie.
Yep, and that's the next one I'm going to talk about.
And the Titans obviously is led by Dick Grayson Nightwing. So we're just going to skip out on all of that and start with him as Nightwing. Like it just
Right.
feels like we're
Mhm.
skipping too many steps.
Right. So what they have here is Teen Titans. This is the first film that was announced later than the initial reveal of the DCU Chapter 1 slate. Like I said, is the Teen Titans movie. This will take place in the main DC universe along Superman and the Brave and the Bold.
Yep.
There is no director attached to it, but the writer of Supergirl, World Tomorrow, is most likely going to be written by Anna Noguera. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So Teen
I just feel
Titans.
like we're going to be doing a lot of flashbacks in these movies to
Right.
fill in gaps in the story to tell us how we got where we are. And
Yep.
if you ask me, that just means you're starting at a
hmm
point where maybe you shouldn't start at. I mean, also, if you have a Batman that already has a Damian Wayne, are
hmm
we referencing him in these other movies? Because this Superman movie has a Green Lantern in it. It has a Hawkgirl in it, a Mister We're clearly we know who the Justice League is already.
Yeah.
So do we know that Batman exists? Are we referencing a Batman in these other movies? It just seems like we're skipping too many steps.
hmm
And I think the only reason they're doing this is to differentiate between Robert Pattinson, who's a
Yeah.
younger Batman in his own
hmm
separate universe, and I don't know. There had to be a way to fold in
hmm
Robert Pattinson into the
hmm
Gunverse and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have two more. The next one is this is a sequel to Constantine. So just Constantine 2. Not much there. They just said it's been announced. I guess Keanu Reeves is coming back. I never
I
even
hope
seen the
that's real.
first one. I can't remember if I did see it. I don't remember it at all.
I love it.
Um,
It's one of the best movies.
so they announced that Constantine 2. Nothing about that. It's just been announced. Nothing else. But the one I am actually really most excited for, and I wish they would just kind of do, in my opinion, I think instead of rebooting Superman and Batman, oh my God, I think we should just go in the realm of just doing kind of maybe one-off films, doing some anthology type things. Anyway, they're doing the first true horror film with Swamp Thing, which I'm
Yes.
really turned on about. And this is called Swamp Thing is going to be a part of the Gods and Monsters chapter of the new DC franchise. It will be directed by James Mangold, which I'm excited about, who promised a gothic-inspired standalone. For those who don't know who James Mangold, this is the guy who did Logan, 310 to Yuma, um, the Wolverine. He's done Copland. He's a very good director. He did, PJ and I did a review of this. The latest Indiana Jones, the
Yep.
Circle of Time. I don't know what that's called. The
Something Destiny. I don't know.
Destiny of Dial, right? That Dial of Destiny, which isn't a horrible film. It's like I said, I don't blame him. That's a lot of anyway. It's a whole
No,
other.
I didn't
But
hate that Indiana Jones. We
yeah,
both
yeah,
said that. We
yeah, yeah,
enjoyed it
yeah.
when
I'm
we
saying
didn't
for
see
the
it.
folks at home who just kind of just
Yeah.
go on the hate train. But I'm really excited for Swamp Thing. I love the original movie. I think Heather Locklear is in it. That was a bad movie as a kid. You don't really realize
I
that you
love the
toys.
cartoon.
Yeah, even though the cartoon is there's only like 3 or 4 episodes. It's a very
I
short.
know, but
It's only
it's
like
still
6.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love those toys as a kid. But anyway, I'm really excited about Swamp Thing. I think we need to do if you're gonna keep this comic book thing, you need movies like I know Joker 2 was a mess, but movies like Joker and look, even though I didn't love the Batman, You have to change things up, and you don't feel so forced to create a universe. It's all right if you just do standalones. It's not gonna like it's not the end of the world.
I almost
Warner
feel like
Brothers.
too with some of the DC movies, it's better to be a standalone
Exactly.
because if you have Superman, you don't need anybody else. So it's like he's gonna over Superman and Batman are always going to overshadow anyone else who's in any of those movies.
Hmm.
Maybe Wonder Woman can get by too, but you know what I mean. Like they're so big. With the thing that works so well with those Marvel movies is though not one of those characters really overshadowed another.
Yeah.
You know, like
Agreed.
Iron Man, no one gave a shit about Iron Man until that movie came out.
Yep.
You
Hmm.
know, no one overpowered, no one outshined anyone else. But the DC movies, you have the risk of Superman and Batman just taking over because that's when you see Superman and Batman, all you care about is Superman and Batman at that point.
Yeah. Hmm.
So just give them their own thing so that other characters get to. I would be okay with that. I
Yeah.
mean, sure, we all want to see a Justice League again, but I'm okay with just having Superman
Yeah.
have his own
Hmm.
movie.
Or you do a true blue standalone Justice League film, or
Right.
its own. We get all new actors, blah blah blah. But anyway, folks, that's the lineup. And not many release dates for DC. Like I said, the rest are just the last one, two, three, 4, 5. The movies I mentioned are just to be announced, no specific dates.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're
James
basically,
Gunn did say this weekend, I think it was at Comic Con actually.
oh
He said he's not putting out a mandate to his creative team that we need 3 movies a year.
yeah,
You make a movie when it's time to make the movie.
yeah,
You know, if you need a year of development before it starts to film, if that's what's going to get you the best movie, that's what you
yeah,
do. Don't rush it just to put it out there. And I
mhm,
think that's a smart idea.
yeah. I agree. But yeah, folks, that's kind of the wrap up of Comic Con 2024 and these upcoming films. So we have a lot to look forward to and a lot to dread. So
All right. So out of
hopefully not.
all of the movies that are announced,
Hmm.
out of all of them, which one are you looking forward to the most and which one are you looking forward to the least?
To tell the truth, I'm actually really looking forward to Swamp Thing.
Okay.
I'm just want something new, and like I said, that's he was in the Mortal Kombat video game, or
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Marvel or DC versus Mortal Kombat or something
Yeah.
like that, and I think you couldn't really play. I think it was like a character you can like tag in and beat the crap out of somebody. But anyway, I really like Swamp Thing as a kid, and I'm looking forward to that, something different, you know.
Okay. And what about the least?
I'm talking about the ones that would actually seen. Like, I don't really have any interest in like Captain America or Thunderbolts. I guess. Oh man, that's actually a tough one. To tell the truth, the bad and the brave and the bold. For some reason,
Yeah. All right.
I'm not interested in that. I don't know. I'm not getting vibes with the whole Damien thing, and like I said, that was, as we said, it was later on we introduced him, but it's kind of just focused around him. It's not really turning me on.
For me, I'm looking forward to Superman the most, but I'm a Superman guy. So if you
Right?
take,
Oh yeah.
yeah, if you take that out of the question, just because we know I'm always going to look forward to Superman the most, I think John Constantine 2 is the one I'd be looking forward to the most. Uh,
That'll be a nice change.
yeah,
We need that. Hmm.
yeah, almost for the same reasons you said Swamp Thing. Like it's something at least, yeah, it's a sequel, but it's been so long. It's something different. It's going to have a different tone, a different feel, a different look than all the other movies. I think that, and it'll have an interesting subject matter with demons and magic. I think that'll be a cool
Hmm.
movie again. And the one I think I'm looking forward to the least is the what is it, Doomsday, whatever they're calling it.
Isn't that crazy? Uh huh. Yeah, I can see
I
that too.
I don't like the idea of Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doom. I think it's lazy. I think it's a
Yeah.
lazy idea. I think it's gonna
For me, I get like
it's
for
just
me, like it's like
confusing for people that aren't
right.
like
Hmm.
comic book people. That
Yeah.
it's tough to get people to buy into half of this shit anyway. Now you
Yeah.
want me to believe that this guy who's been the same character for 100 years is a different character? Like people are going to be confused. It's I don't know. I think it's a lazy idea to try and capitalize on one guy's
Right.
fame and popularity.
Yeah. I guess I'll say this. I think it's fitting that it's called Doomsday because that can
Yeah.
really be. So, but
Are the tides turning and DC is starting to get maybe a little bit of a win? Maybe.
who-
Well, remains to be seen.
yep. Well, no, time will tell. Um, but yeah, thanks for listening, folks. Same time, same table.
Have a good one.
Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. For more information, visit their website at coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com. Follow the boys on all social media platforms. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.